Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's up Liante. She's back, folks. Back with a bang. Back on a weekly basis. Just back. I'm going to go out on a limb, say probably some running, probably some TV, movies, maybe even some games. Who knows? There's a video on YouTube, which is where you should be there right now, subscribing, with a friend who's also subscribing, and 30 to 40 of your closest friends and family who are also subscribing. I'm going to say thanks, because that's definitely what you're doing right now. Cool. So here we go. This is Cookiecast, up Liante.
Hello, podcast people. Bear with me while I get the camera rolling. And then I'll just need to be seated. The camera is rolling. Microphone is on, obviously. Now I have strict instructions to try not to knock the microphone at any point. Apparently that is a rather annoying sound, which I completely understand. But I am bit of a clumsy person, so knocking it is almost inevitable. I think it must be usually when I go for my drink, so I have to be more careful. Hello, welcome to podcast number 7. Where are we? Today is Wednesday. I'm doing another daytime recording to fit this in. I had a group quiz last night with my friends, so my normal podcast evening Cookie ended up taking, actually, because he hadn't been able to record on Monday. So I'm now doing mine during the day today while the baby is having her nap, and taking advantage of that time just to fit it in so that I'm not delaying things, because as I mentioned on the last podcast, I'd recorded that on a Saturday, so that was only 5 days ago. Here we are on Wednesday, and I know it makes no difference to you guys because you listen to them weekly, but it obviously shortens the amount of time I have available to do things and then talk about those things when I am messing about with my schedule. It's all my fault, my own doing. Anyway, we have a very short list today, so it could well be a short podcast. I haven't grouped my activities together either. So it'll basically be a run through of what I have done each day with the activities that have taken place on that days. I will be honest up front now, and running has been completely off the cards. It just hasn't been a factor. Each day has come and gone. I've had my window of opportunity to do my run, and I've made the decision not to on most of those days. So Saturday was already, that wasn't even a question. I hadn't gone on Friday. Sunday I was supposed to go, just didn't want to. Monday, could have, didn't. Tuesday, could have, didn't. I just haven't had that desire to get out there, and to be fair, over the weekend the wind was ridiculous. There was just no way that I wanted to do a run that's already a struggle and then try and do it with gale force wind. It just takes your breath away, you can't breathe, and I struggle with that anyway, so I was like, no, it's not happening. And then the last few days the heat has been overwhelming, so that's been my excuse not to go again, and quite frankly I haven't even given myself excuses. It has just been a flat, I don't want to go, so I'm not going to. However, this morning, the last couple of mornings I've woken up sort of around, my alarm goes off at 6:10. I usually stir briefly and then chances are I turn it off and go back to sleep. Last couple of mornings it's just been, I could get up now, or I could switch the alarm off for a little while and get up in a bit and go for a run. That hasn't happened, and then the baby wakes up and it's like, right, well, I'm up, I'll get ready, get on with the day. But this morning the alarm had gone off early. I was laying there for a while, A bit of noise from the baby, so I was awake. I was listening, seeing if she was fully waking up, which she wasn't. She just tends to sort of start stirring maybe an hour before she wakes up, and she'll keep chatting to herself and then go back off. So that was going on this morning. I was awake and it got to 10 to 7 and I thought, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go for my run. I'm going to do it, get it done while it's still cool, heat hasn't built up, and then it's done for the day and I don't need to worry about it. So that is exactly what I did. I was out the door at 7, I was back by 7:15. By the time I'd returned, the baby had woken up, so I came in, got her, and we went straight on to breakfast. So in the last 5 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe it's only like 4 days really, I've been for one run, and that was this morning, and it felt good, to be fair. No leg pains, no discomfort as such. It's hard work still, sort of more the breathing and just the effort. But I did my mile. I got to a point and I was thinking, oh, my energy is depleting. It sort of rapidly evaporated. And I checked how far I'd gone, and I was 0.96 of a mile. I was like, I can just push this to the mile and then be done, which is exactly what happened. And I just walked about a 0.3 of a mile home. So that was it. I've done one run. It was a mile. I'll just move the microphone a bit closer. I'm conscious I'm maybe not talking into it. Yeah, nothing to write home about. It was a 10-minute, 27-minute mile. And I feel better for having been. I feel good for that. So we'll see what tomorrow morning brings, if I wake up with enough time to get dressed and get out there, and know that the baby won't wake up. So I'll just rewind slightly back to Saturday. Saturday evening was film night for Cookie and I. We watched a film called Overlord. I have no idea when this came out, actually, if it's new or not. I know Cookie's had it on Blu-ray since last year at some point and hadn't got round to watching it, so he was saying, what about this? And then I was like, yeah. I think the synopsis is something around, or I can tell you what the sort of overview of the storyline was, that it's set at the back end of World War II. An American sort of military team are sent into France, I believe, to take out a communications tower to allow overhead sort of flight support to be able to go in and finish the war, essentially. In fact, in mentioning this film to a couple of friends, I think Mike said that Overlord was the sort of code name for that final battle that brought the war to the end. And it's not a serious film. It sort of doesn't take itself too seriously, although it's set sort of in the war and it's sort of a serious subject matter. The sort of other underlying element was that there's a Nazi scientist based underground who has been doing sort of obscure testing on individuals, and essentially he's making a super army of Nazis, or just super soldiers that have been injected with some kind of, I don't know what it was. They were injected with something that, I think they were doing it to dead people, and seeing if it regenerated the life. So yeah, there's an element of scientific testing going on, which at the point that they're trying to take down this communications tower, they find this laboratory. It was a good film, actually. I think we both really enjoyed watching it, and sort of not surprised so much, but it was a decent watch. I think on my current rating scale, I'd probably have to give it a solid 7. It was just easy watching, decent amount of action, some of it sort of a little bit ridiculous, but overall, good film. It had a couple of people in that I recognised. One of them was the bad guy from Umbrella Academy. I think he was called Peabody or somebody in Umbrella Academy, if you've seen that. He was the young man that struck up a relationship with the sister of the academy that was sort of thought not to have any powers. I think he was called Peabody. He was an American soldier in it. He was sort of a bit of a dick really in the film, but he was a good character in the end. And it also had I can't remember the name of the character. He was in Game of Thrones, sort of like the back end of probably series 8. I don't know if he appeared before that. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. He was the guy that ended up sort of trying to seduce Cersei and being her new husband. I think he thought he'd got her pregnant in the end. I always saw him as really short in Game of Thrones, but somehow in this film he looked really tall, and I don't know if that was just camera angles on whether he is short or tall in real life. I have no idea, but that seemed to stand out. So that film gets a solid 7 from me. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those that I'd never heard of, no idea what it was really going to be about, but just thought I'll sit and watch it with Cookie, and it was good. Got a thumbs up. That was Saturday night. Sunday night, no idea what happened during the day Sunday. I don't think we ventured out, particularly the weather was windy, as I say. It started to die off at some point. But Sunday evening we had games night scheduled with Sky. Has Mike, myself and Cookie. Sky unfortunately bailed, I think just as we were about to start at 8 o'clock. Obviously the time difference for her. It was sort of caught up with her and she said she was falling asleep. So unfortunately she ducked out, but we went ahead anyway. And played this game, Psych, which was app based. We all had to get the app and managed to find some free sections on it. We thought we were going to have to pay for some of the card packs. None of us particularly wanted to pay for a game that we didn't know if it was going to be any good or not. So we managed to find some free rounds within the game. Can't remember what they were called, but we started playing those. One of them was movie based. We were given a movie title, so on each of our phones a movie title comes up on our screen, and then we each had to type in a synopsis for the film based on the title. Those we would then all see the answers as well as the real answer, and we each had to vote as to which we thought was the true one. So we played a couple of rounds of that, I think. That was quite fun. That was a bit tense, a bit serious, because at first we were being humorous, but then you realised that in order to actually win or get the points you needed to make it sound legit, so we were trying harder. That was a bit tense, that. What else? There was a sort of fact-based one where I think we were given a description of a word, and we then had to make up the word that description explained. So again, that was quite sort of, you had to focus your mind in order to think of something that might be believable. And we were all very sort of winning different points, different times. But the final round we found was just a sample, and it actually drew us into the questions. So you get things like Mike releases a new fragrance, what is it called? Harriet joins a band and releases a song tomorrow, what is it called? Or Cookie and Harriet Cookie and Haz might form a band, what would their band be called? And there was just these silly questions that was coming up. Someone would get a first tattoo, or what would it be of? And it was just really silly questions, but we were just basing it on the knowledge we had on each other. And a lot of the evening's entertainment, drink time. Oh, that's good. That's cold. I just made it before I came in. And I had a big slug of it to try and avoid the need to drink during the recording, but it's unavoidable, sorry. The majority of the evening's entertainment sort of came from has eaten crisps on the call. She did ask if it was permitted, and we said for her to go ahead, but these were very crunchy crisps, and it just became an ongoing joke throughout the evening. So a lot of the question responses were with these crisps, and although it won't be funny whilst I'm relaying it to you, we were absolutely dying. It was definitely up there with our Cards Against Humanity evenings. I just realised I should probably stop scratching and playing with my hair, because it means that you get to see this lovely part of my fat arm, which is probably not anything anyone needs to see right now. But we had a very good evening, so it was a real shame that Sky missed out, and she sort of messaged the next day asking if we'd had a good time, and the answer was yes. We had a lot of fun, and we'd definitely play a game, but because we only had a sample of the pack of cards that were based on us, I can't remember what that one was called at all. We soon cycled through the questions, and rather than it just repeating the questions but using one of our different friends as a subject matter, it seemed to fall in sync that it was exactly the same questions about the same people. So we played it as much as we could, and then sort of didn't want to have to repeat those questions again. So yes, it was a good entertainment. We would play again. Doesn't have much longevity without purchasing more of the card packs, and they're not expensive, to be fair. I think it was like 79 pence or something, but I don't know if one person buys it, is it then accessible to all of your friends that you invite to join in that game, or do each of us need to have purchased it? I imagine it would just have to be one person, but then you never know sort of with these apps and how they make their money. So I can thoroughly recommend that to everybody. If you've got a group of friends, you want a bit of evening entertainment, and you're fed up of your quizzes, then try Fed Up with Cards Against Humanity. I think we will be reverting back to that one maybe next time, the next evening we have next week. But that was Psych, P-S-Y-C-H. You can search for it on your app store. So Monday, got up, did Joe Wicks with the baby. I say with the baby, she doesn't really take part. Sometimes she, in fact, wasn't Monday, she was there, waiting for me to put the TV on. She must have sort of like a sense of what happens, sort of like we have breakfast, then we get dressed, and then usually we head back downstairs, and it's just about Joe Wicks time. So she was stood against the corner of the sofa holding the remote control, and she was squatting up and down. I thought that was quite entertaining, really. I don't know if it was a sign or pure coincidence, but we went on, we did Joe Wicks. Really enjoying Joe Wicks at the moment. There's just, like I was saying in my last podcast, I'm just getting a lot more out of it and feeling the benefits a lot more. You still get your sweat on, and it's just high intensity training, designed for, it's exactly what HIIT is supposed to do. It's sort of like the weight loss and the feel good factor. Joe said all the time that no matter what sort of mood you're in when you start doing the HIIT, you give it your all, you feel good for the rest of the day. It's sort of like a boost, a natural boost to get you through the day. So yeah, really enjoying Joe. And then Joe. Monday was bank holiday. Not that means a lot at the moment, but I met up with my stepdad for first time in probably 12 weeks. I think, well, we're in week 10 of lockdown, so it must be about 12 weeks since I've seen him. And since he's seen the baby, so it was really good to we went out on a walk, probably a 2-mile walk around the university. Lovely day, really nice to get out in the sunshine, but also just nice to have a chat with him, see him in the flesh, see how he's doing, for him to see the baby and sort of, I don't know, just how much he's changed, because he's not somebody I have video calls with, so he's not seen her at all throughout all this period, and it was just nice to catch up. So that was sort of an hour out of the afternoon. It's nice to get out and enjoy the sunshine, just take a meander in the summer weather. Is it summer? Where are we? Almost in June. I think it's still classed as spring, isn't it? Then Tuesday, so we did Joe Wicks again. Went out in the afternoon for another walk. a similar route. I added a bit on, so it was about 3.5 miles. I think we were out sort of an hour and a quarter or so. It was a bit overcast actually yesterday, so I didn't go very well prepared and didn't put sun cream on the baby, and then the sun came out while we were out and I was trying to sort of cover her with a muslin. And on the walk on Monday afternoon, it ended up losing her sun hat. Seemed to have blown off her head at some point and not realised, so she didn't have a hat either. And I didn't want to pull the canopy right up, so I put a muslin on her head. But at some point I had to give in and pull the canopy up to try and protect her. So I removed the muslin from her head and I peered in at her at some point and noticed that she'd been playing with it and put it back on her head, so she obviously liked it. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, sorry. I've got no runs to talk about, so I'm just trying to fill the time. But last night I had group quiz with Sky, Haz, Zoe and Claire, which is nice. Hadn't spoken with Claire in a couple of weeks. She didn't join last week's call with us, so it's nice just to check in. Although saying that, we sort of do the quiz, we don't really do that much chatting, sort of see how each other are. We were just focused on Jay's virtual pub quiz last night. So rather than doing one of the standard weekly quizzes, we all picked one of his specialist quizzes that he's been doing. If you've not found him, YouTube him or Facebook, find him on Facebook. It's Jay's virtual pub quiz. So we all picked a specialist round to sort of try and give us an advantage in order to be able to answer some of the questions better. So Sky selected the USA, presume for obvious reasons. Claire went with Game of Thrones. I think she would have gone with Harry Potter, but Haz had already selected Harry Potter. Which surprised me actually, Haz. I had no idea that you were sort of a Harry Potter fan at all, to be honest, let alone sort of quite an interested fan. Zoe went with Back to the 80s, and I was going to go with retro gaming, but changed my mind and went with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Should have probably gone with retro gaming, judging by my scores from the Marvel Universe. It was surprisingly difficult. I have no memory. I know I've mentioned this a few times, I do remember doing that. But my memory recall since having had the baby it's just non-existent. So I can't remember the names of things, I can't remember the names of people. It's when I'm trying to remember something factual, there's just nothing there. So you try to remember the name of somebody from a film, or the actor that plays them, or the name of a character. Stuff like that, and there's just nothing there. So when trying to remember stuff that happened over all of the, like looking at all the Harry Potter films or looking at all of the Marvel films, I've just got no chance. So I hold my hands up to that. I am pretty rubbish when it comes to doing quizzes and needing to remember information. If it's just guesswork or sort of what year did this come out, then I've got a better judgment because there is an element of just guess. It's just when I'm trying to remember actual facts, there's just nothing there. I've got no chance. So I did pretty rubbish in the quiz, but it was enjoyable nonetheless. I think at the start when Jay was doing his quizzes, he was just reading the questions and maybe the answers were getting uploaded to Facebook, so some of the rounds we'd selected they came in different points in time. So some of the videos had the answers tied in at the end for us, and others we had to try and find the answers, which has eventually found the Harry Potter and might have been the Game of Thrones round for us. But yeah, I did pretty rubbish. I think I came last out of everybody, which I think was the same for last week's quiz as well. Not judging myself, it's to be expected. So no worries. It's fun, I don't mind. That brings us up to today, and obviously I've already talked about this morning's run. Feel good about that. I've done Joe Wicks as well since then. my legs are hurting from yesterday's Joe Wicks, so didn't notice it in the run, that was okay, but trying to do Joe Wicks again this morning, it was quite leggy at the beginning. I can feel that sort of in the back of my legs and my bottom area, but it all needs the work, so it's all good. Couple of other things I've just written down. Oh, wait, I've forgotten to tell you about when I watched Gone in 60 Seconds. Which day was that? Monday night. So Cookie had a call with his mates because it was podcast alum Paul Williams' birthday. Happy birthday, Paul. It was also my cousin Scott's birthday and my dad's girlfriend Jules' birthday. So lots of birthdays on May the 25th, apparently. But Cookie had a call with his friends for Paul's birthday, so I decided to watch a film, which was Gone in 60 Seconds, given that I hadn't got round to it last week. This was a film that I talked about, saying that I wanted to watch, and Nicolas Cage, he does his let's ride, whatever it is he says, and two Rogers don't make a right. It was just, in my mind, it was just such a such a classic film, with so many sort of good memories and things. So we'd had this conversation with Nicolas Cage playing the Tiger King, and it had reignited my sort of desire to watch that film. So I eventually got around to watching it, and I should have left it where it was, stored in the back of my mind, that memory of the film that I'd kept sort of in this little box. I should have left it there, because it didn't have the same feel to it. It's obviously dated. Nicolas Cage's face, he's so young, fresh face. He's got Angelina Jolie in as well. Her character was a bit of an odd character, actually, watching the film back. It was like she didn't quite fit. It was just crowbarred in for a love story interest. And some of the other characters, sort of, there's a lot of faces in there. There's Giovanni Ribisi, he's very young. All of them are going to be young. It's a film from like nearly 20 years ago. Who was the other one? Vinnie Jones was in it. And it was good to watch back and sort of have that. Timothy Olyphant, he was in it. Good to watch it back and just sort of remember all those bits that you forget. But there's just that ridiculous scene towards the back end where he's driving along the sort of motorway bridge sort of thing. He's being chased by the police, hounded. He's going to get caught, so he just drives up a ramp and just sails over all the traffic, over this bridge, and then just lands and manages to get away. And it's just very, very far-fetched. And that's not to say you wouldn't see something like that in a modern-day film, but it's just those bits that you remember and think, oh yeah, it wasn't that good. But even the premise of the film, sort of, he has 50 cars to steal in 3 or 4 days, but they decide to leave the actual theft element until the last 12 hours, so that by the time anyone's reporting these cars are stolen, they're basically done and the cars are being shipped off. So they do all the legwork for the first couple of days, sort of scouting out where they find these cars. And they've only got a team of, I don't know if there's maybe 6 or 7 of them, but they don't trust half of them to actually be able to do the job. So they managed to steal 50 cars, and you think, how have they managed to do that in essentially 11 hours? Because the last hour is all about the Shelby. So in 11 hours they've stolen 49 cars and gotten away with it until that point, and that includes a rewrite of the entire plan, because not the entire plan, but some of the cars, because they realise the police are watching them, they have to abandon certain cars and find other means of securing different ones. Anyway, I'm rambling on. It was good in a way to have watched it and just remind myself that there is a reason that we watch films and enjoyed them at a certain point in time, and then as time progresses, although you may have seen that film, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 more times, you may have watched them over and over, especially when we had access to less films. But as time goes on, those films get left behind, and you leave them in that little memory bank, and they're kept in that tight little memory, and it's a fond memory, and that's probably where they should stay, because when you rewatch them sort of 15 years later, they don't quite stand up as they once did, and then it ruins that memory slightly. So anyone that was inspired by my podcast talking about Gone in 60 Seconds, thinking, oh yeah, I could watch that again, I would thoroughly recommend that you think on that. Do you really need to watch it again, or can you just look back on it with those fond memories and keep those memories safe in that little memory bank? On watching it again, it probably only got a 5. Not good. So there was that. I was on Sky the other day. There's a couple of films I noticed on there that I probably would like to watch. A couple of horror films. Seems that I've not been keeping up with the horror genre. And these are a couple of old ones. Well, one of them certainly is, and that's The Nun. Never saw that when it was originally out. So when I saw it was on Sky, I thought, oh, I'll get round to that. Haven't watched it yet, I'm just telling you. There's a couple here that I do want to watch. So The Nun and Slender Man, which I think was to do with a sort of fantasy element. I don't know what the premise of this film is, but I seem to remember there was a case in the media in the last few years where a young girl was saying that the Slender Man had been telling her to kill people, or something along those lines. So I don't know what the Slender Man is. I feel like he was a big shadowy figure, but I don't actually know. So I don't know if I'll have time over the next week or so I'll try and watch those. So the other thing I just wanted to mention was in relation to my diet. That was part of the reason why I'd not been running, actually, because I'd changed my diet, and when I diet, I weigh myself every day. I know that you shouldn't, but I do. I need to see that I am making slow progress towards my ultimate goal in order to keep going. I'm not one of these that sort of doesn't mind it wavering up and down each day, as long as at the end of the week I've lost weight, or however you like to do it. I need to know each day that I'm still on track and progressing in the right direction. So the better eating started as of Friday, and over the last few days I've been noticing weight loss. So whilst I was noticing the weight loss because I'd improved my diet massively, I was like, why do I need to be going out there and running, which I hate, in order to help aid the weight loss when the weight is currently coming off on its own? So that was one of the other reasons why I've not been as focused on the running. A point in time will come when that shifts, because the food won't help the weight come off on its own. I need the running, and as we know, I've already been today, so it's not like I'm not running at all. But I did just want to sort of talk about my weight loss so that this podcast holds me accountable in that regard as well. So between Friday and today, I have lost 4.5 pounds. That is huge, really, in terms of where I've been, where the weight was just creeping on over the last couple of weeks. So I am seeing progress going in the right direction, and that is just by cutting out the crap. So the chocolate, the cakes, the sweets, all those things that were piling the pounds on, cut those out, and now the pounds are dropping off. The pounds are dropping off. This is good progress. This is heading in the right direction. This is what I needed to be seeing. So before I was pregnant, I was usually around, when I was sort of keeping fit, I would be somewhere between 11 and 11.5 stone. At the point that I was pregnant, I was probably closer to, at the point that I found out that I was pregnant, I was probably closer to 12 stone. At the back end of the pregnancy, I was 17.5 stone. That is a massive increase in weight. Not necessary, absolutely not. And I just ate excessively. So there was a lot of extra weight there outside of baby. Obviously, I gave birth to the baby. She was 9.5 pounds. I lost another however much. I think I'd lost 1.5 stone at the point that I came out of hospital. maybe. And then I lost another half after that. Does that add up? Around 17 and a half? That was 15 and a half. Yeah, that doesn't quite add up somewhere. Well, maybe I was only 17 stone. And then I lost another half over the summer when we cut out carbs. So I'd been around 14 and a half stone. I'd then, more recently, I'd probably lost another half a stone. I had been hovering around 14 prior to the last few weeks when the cake and chocolate consumption just went through the roof and it all crept back on. So I'd started at 14 and a half stone as of last Friday. And I will weigh myself. I'll take an official reading on a Monday. I always do a Monday reading for weight. So my official reading on Monday, just gone, 2 days ago, was 14 stone 4.8. And that is what I will measure against. And I will weigh myself again next Monday. And then I will report back on probably Tuesday's podcast and see where we're at. I need this to keep going down. There's no excuse for it to waver and go up. I need to keep things on track. So I'm going to use this podcast to help me do that and see things move in the right direction. I guess if I suddenly stop talking about my weight loss journey, then take it as a bad sign. It's not going well. We don't need to go there. Okay, guys, that is it for today. I've probably talked more than I needed to, like usual, and filled in random points. I thought it'd be a quick one, but it's probably about the same length, so there we go, I talk. Right, guys, I will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me, and take care. Bye bye.
So there you go. What do you think to that one? Cool. YouTube watchers, I mean, I should call you YouTube subscribers, shouldn't I? Because that's what you are. You are subscribers to YouTube, to the YouTube channel. You're subscribed, yeah? Cool. Thanks for that. Obviously, get a few friends and family to do the same. And then they can be YouTube subscribers and they can get notifications because they've clicked for notifications and, they've got all the information about what's coming out on the YouTube channel. Cool. Everybody can visit the cookiecast.com and send us love. Love in the forms of social media, love in the forms of emails. If you send us an email, I'll read it out on the podcast. Good or bad? Mostly good, probably not bad. And yeah, keep checking the website. There's some changes that are going to be coming further down the line. Don't want to give too much away right now, but keep checking it out. So there we go. That's that one done. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.